Tiki friends, have you ever had a dream and you just didn't have the guts to chase it? Chad Kelly had a dream, and a year ago, he chased it. And that dream was making tiki mugs. Chad invited me over to his home shop to show me the process, talk about his mugs, talk about how he got here, and Rum-Soaked Radio is inviting you along for the ride.
From the pineapple peaks of Adventureland to the murky depths 20,000 leagues under the sea, batten down the hatches, grab your coconuts and say good day, Jose. This is Rum-Soaked Radio.
This shop has been many different things over time. When I was racing stock cars, it was my race car shop. Prior to that, it was a wood shop because I liked doing woodworking stuff. Well, that began an evolution that eventually led to making knives because I really enjoyed working with metals. These are all just profiled and heat treated, ready to be turned into knives, but all just designs that I've created over time that are just about ready to be done. It's a very balanced knife right now, but it's going to get a little heavier on the back when I put handle material onto it. When you don't see me at a tiki bar or at a tiki event, you'll find me here. I spend an unbelievable amount of time here. If there's not something going on, I'm here 7 days a week. For me, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. I don't pay attention anymore to what day of the week it is. When the sun comes up, I need to get some work done. And so I'm down here working on any one of these projects or whatever else might come up.
What is more difficult to make? A good knife or a good tiki mug?
You can make both of them easy and you can make both of them difficult. I have a little disease and tend to make everything difficult. So I hate that the answer is not exactly satisfactory when I say both, but it's a matter of choices. And I choose to make them difficult no matter what. I feel like if you don't take that extra effort, then why buy it? I know there are plenty of simple knives out there that people love to buy and simple tiki mugs that people love to buy. And I don't disparage any of it. But that's not for me. I often regret it, but I just tend to have to make it complicated.
We met over one of your, I think anybody would say, complicated mugs.
Yeah.
This is the mug, and it's an amazing mug, Chad.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. When I first started thinking about what I wanted to do, I wanted it to be to have a personal tie to me, and for me, rum is what brought me to tiki. Actually, rum is what steered us in that direction and introduced us to it, and so rum is a big part of tiki for me, and so a rum bottle made sense. I also wanted to focus on the decor aspect of it, just something that would look nice on the shelf. I was thinking I wanted to put a wall down the center of a bottle. And so I started searching around to see, lots of people have made rum bottles. Has anybody left the cork on the top and put a wall down the middle of a bottle? And I've yet to find one. I could not find one prior to doing this, and I still have not. Now I know why. Like, nobody is stupid enough. If they're smart enough to do ceramics, which takes a lot, and I have a massive respect for everybody out there doing ceramic work, especially tiki mugs. If you're smart enough to do that, you were smart enough to not do this. But for me, it was a special exception. I wanted to do something that would be different for my first time. Figuring out how to put a wall in the middle wasn't easy. I ultimately realized I needed to make this in two pieces. These two halves are molded separately at the same time, because as soon as these two pop out of their molds, then slip is applied between them, and then they're stuck together. And then once that all cures, then it all has to be cleaned up, holes get cut, and everything gets trimmed up, and all the finish work gets done. But what that does is it puts a wall on both sides, so that when they're stuck together, even if a crack were to show up, even if it split, it still can't leak, right? It's still each half is a completely sealed mug on its own. There's a lot of seams on this thing, but that's the main seam and separating the drink portion from the front portion. When I decided I was going to do this and make this shift, the people in the knife world that knew me thought I was nuts, because I'd been doing that for over a dozen years. It was going really well. I never made a knife that wasn't sold before I finished it. And it was everything was on track. And when I finally had the time to do it full time, I think everyone who knew me as that person thought, well, obviously you're going to do this. Now you're just going to make more knives, right? Oh boy. And in thinking about that, I realized that means a dedication, a level of dedication that I had not had prior. I had a sort of my own separate life, and then I did my knives in the time that I had available. But to do it full time means living that whole life, being a part of that whole community all the time. And my wife doesn't enjoy going to knife shows, and I enjoy a knife show, but I don't want to go every week or every month. It's not the life I want to be fully immersed in. And so I had to look around and say, well, what, now that I have this freedom to figure out what I really want to do, and I'm 54 now, that I'm really at a point where whatever choice I make is going to be what I'm doing now until the end of my good years of making stuff, most likely. I'm only got about, maybe 2 decades left of good stuff. So I figured I better make a good life choice. And we love tiki. We love tiki people, really is what it is. It's tiki bars are great, but tiki events are extra special. Friendliness is allowed at a tiki event in a way that you don't find in public. Everyone is there to be friendly and be lovely, and it creates this vibe that it's different and it's special, and it's something that attracts me in the best ways, and that's where I wanted my life to be dedicated. I wanted to be with that feeling, that ohana spirit that I've only found in the tiki community. It's a life choice, and I'm going to have to just suck it up and go through the difficulties of starting over in a way. But I've spent 30 years making all kinds of things, and I a while back concluded that in my mind, my sort of overly confident concept is that I could make anything I really want to make. I'm not really restricted in what I can make. It's a matter of commitment and desire. It's a matter of, which I think it is for everyone. And if I'm willing to be committed to it and I have the desire to overcome the obstacles, then I can do it. And so I just decided that tiki's what I want to do. I'm going to overcome what it's going to take, and it'll be what it'll be. And I'll hope that I'm well received, and I haven't made this massive mistake in my life.
You didn't leave a door open that you could easily have walked back through.
No, nothing at all. All I'm doing is I'm 100% committed to this, and even to the degree that there's no other income source. It's just I either make this work or fail. And I think that puts a person in a mindset that is the type of commitment I think you need to have to succeed. And so I was willing to do it, and I'm willing to do it because the tiki world was worth it to me. Is really what it comes down to. When I made that transition to the mug, I figured, well, if I'm going to be a new guy and try to say, hey, everybody, look at what I'm doing, I felt I would really get lost in the noise of everything there is in tiki if I just made a simple ku mug. And I don't mean to say that ku mugs are simple by any means. I'm just using that as an example. But if I just made a simple round mug, then my question would be, well, why would I buy that from you? Because who the heck are you? And so I felt I needed to do something that separated me from what had been done before, to at least give people a reason to say, oh, hey, look at that. That's different. I haven't seen that. That was difficult, whatever. At least some reason to have an interest, and maybe from there I could grow that little seed into a successful situation. It achieved the goal because it did garner some attention. People did notice that this was unique, that there isn't another mug out there like this. It was extremely difficult to make, and that you're not going to find another one like it. So the idea here was that you could put drop some lights in here, that you could also drop dry ice and water and sort of make visual effects to create conversation and to make your bar look better, right? And that's ultimately what these are about. These are about bringing people together and having something fun to talk about while you sip a tiki cocktail and enjoy the camaraderie of it. And these are just conversation pieces. That's what all tiki mugs are. And I felt this achieved that pretty well. It also helped me. It helped me learn. I decided with this process, I was going to do everything the hard way and not worry about the rules about, you shouldn't do this or that, and just learn and just experience the difficulties that come from not worrying about it, just moving forward. And it taught me a lot. I have taught me a lot about glazes. I think there are 28 glazes in total that are used on this mug. It taught me about spraying glazes, which I do on this surface. It taught me about airbrushing glazes and airbrushing underglazes, which are not the same. There are 5 colors on the starfish, brushed glazes, poured glazes. So it gave me an opportunity to do all the different possibilities with glazes. It gave me an opportunity to really learn about seaming these mugs when I have these 2 big pieces and potential gaps to fill and things like that. There was too much masking involved in the design. It made it one of the difficult things about it, but it really gave me an opportunity to expand what I understood. The mask, for example, the mask was an evolution of things. I wasn't sure when I first started what I was going to put in there. I knew I wanted a broken bottle. I knew I wanted to put a wall in the middle. I wasn't sure who was going to be inside. In fact, initially, I'll show you, this was the very earliest idea. This was before anything got started. I needed to just mock it up on a piece of paper and start to picture what this was going to be and how it was going to be and what complications would come. You can see it's got a wall and it's all this, the concept is there. I was thinking just like maybe maybe a note in the bottle. But
you mean like a message
in
in
a
a bottle?
bottle,
Gotcha.
right? But the concept doesn't really work when the bottle's open like this. The note wouldn't still be there. So it started like that, not knowing really what I was going to put on the inside, and it eventually evolved into the tiki mask, which is something that had to be a separate mold. That's an entirely separate molded piece that gets glazed on its own and then applied, which gave me an opportunity to learn about using glaze. Glaze is basically glass, but using glaze as glue is an option under certain circumstances, and but it can be kind of a high wire act, especially if you want it to hang on a vertical surface. And when this is being fired, everything's at 2,300 degrees. It's all liquid. And so for it to not slip and move or just fall to the bottom, it creates its own special set of circumstances that you have to overcome. My solution, I ended up creating these little ceramic pieces. These are just your standard, ceramic risers that you would use in firing ceramics. And I just ground them. I ground them on my little knife grinder, put a notch in here, ground them here and here, so that this notch would sit underneath this, what is basically like eyebrows, right? And when it sits in here like this, and since that is underglaze it's sitting against, it doesn't stick. And then this can sit in the kiln just like that. And when I get it wedged on there correctly, it can go through the firing process and the mask stays put. It took me a while to figure out how to do that and to make the little pieces, but I got it done and it works. The downside of this is this takes up a lot of space in the kiln. So rather than being able to fit about 12 of these bottles in there, I can only glaze fire 4 at a time with these pieces sticking out of them. And that was a bit of an obstacle, but nonetheless, it was a way to overcome the challenge. And that's what making stuff is all about. That's what life is all about. You just have to find a way to get past the challenge. And that's how I did it. That's why there's those 6 of them are the pieces that I use for that. The whole mug really gave me just tons of opportunities to learn. And that was a big part of it for me, is I couldn't take 10 years to learn how to do this. I'm too old for that. I needed to get as much learning as I possibly could in the first year, and so this was that vessel in so many ways.
You speak, though, like you're a seasoned ceramicist. This was 0 to 60. This was stock car speed. It sounds like that you overcame that learning curve.
Well, I had to. Like I said, it was a necessity. And I can thank, and this is a great opportunity for that. Thank you for being here for this. I can thank Van Tiki for that. Henrik is amazing. Henrik shares everything he's doing. And when I made the choice that week, when I chose that Tiki was going to be what I do instead, I immediately started watching every Van Tiki video, and I've watched them all 2, 3, sometimes 5, 6 times, and I would watch them and freeze frame it and go, what does he have here? And I'm not just listening to what he says or watching what he's doing, but I'm looking at everything in his shop and what tool did he grab that he didn't mention, and what is it sitting on, and all sorts of things. And I literally learned everything that I needed to learn to get started just from watching Van Tiki videos. It sounds like Tactical Tiki Tuesday when he says it, but it's Technical Tiki Tuesday. And yes, from those videos. And they're fantastic. I love him for having done that, because it genuinely, it was the thing that gave me the start. As he mentions in these videos, you can't get all the information you need from just one source like that. That wouldn't be possible. You need to do your own research. But you also have to have a starting place. And watching what he does and hearing what he comments on, even just little comments, well, that would tell me, oh, that's something I need to look into, and I need to learn more about that. And he would mention a book that he's referred to. So, oh, I need to get that book, and now I need to read that book and see what I get out of it. And on and on and on. If you want to learn a lot from it, you can learn everything from what he had. And it was, I can genuinely say he gave me everything I needed to know to get started. And then from there, I've had to expand and learn and press it and do it myself and etc. But I don't know that I could have gotten up to speed so quickly without him. I think I just told him about 6 weeks ago. I reached out to him and just said, hey, thank you. All my mugs got sold. I know you've never heard of me, and you're my mentor, and I love you for it. He's also just a beautiful, friendly guy, And so so that's how I got up to speed to where I mix my own slip now. You can see there's another 400 pounds of dry slip there next to you, and my mixer's sitting there ready for the next one, and that's a whole formulation thing that you need to learn, and he helps with that. Because Henrik has been so willing to share, I am also willing to share. In fact, I appreciated him because I did that in the knife world. There was a forum that I was on where I tried to help people learn how to do knife handles and any knife work they wanted to know about, because I felt like any maker that wants to make stuff, well, they need answers. They have questions and they need the help, and I'm happy to help. I think anybody that wants to make stuff should go make stuff. And even if they're making the same thing I'm making, I don't see that as creating a competitor. I just see that as enabling somebody who was going to do it anyway. And so, let's all just make good stuff and share what we know is the way I looked at it. And so to have him have that approach it was huge to me. Well, this is the original sculpture for that mug. The mug gets, the sculpture gets messed up when you try to mold it. So it's been really beat to heck. I even, cut pieces off of it or whatever. But so this is the original sculpture that created that guy. I'm trying to come up with a shape. And as you know, rum bottles are of a wide variety of different shapes. I did a lot of research into the shapes of bottles, etc. So I started shaping one and I didn't like the way this was looking like an urn, like that's not right. So it all had to change. And then I realized, as I'm going to add things to the bottle, I need to be able to make those things and stick them onto the correct circumference in order for them to then go onto the bottle. So this bottle here became the model for my bottle. Huh. In terms of the overall shape here, it isn't ultimately exactly the same, but all the limpets got stuck on this bottle. The starfish was also stuck on this bottle so that I could get him into the right shape and then take him and put him onto my sculpture. And so that's ultimately, it went from sitting here to sitting there.
And when was that? When that piece that you're holding right there, when was that?
I did in, that would have been completed June, a year ago, like almost exactly a year ago.
2025, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know, so just, you know, lots of tools. The toolboxes are packed full. This little tool cutter's from the 50s. This thing cuts the tools that the pantograph uses. So that's a handy little guy to have. Yeah, pictures of the racing time. That fender is from when I got spun out in the first corner when I was leading the field, and the whole pack was going by me left and right, and everyone's getting by. I'm like, yeah. And then Jeff Elder can't get by. There's a car there, and he can't quite get by, and we hit front left to front left. I have this great picture of my car with 3 of the wheels lifted up off the ground, and only one of them on the ground, while he's spinning me back around forward. And that's the fender that resulted from it.
Did you ever race at Ascot?
No,
okay.
No. I raced almost entirely at Toyota Speedway, which is Irwindale. But these are the kinds of things. Like I was fortunate. I won a lot of races, and I brought home a lot of trophies. But these are the kinds of trophies I love the most. Like this is a piece of my rear fender. Because I was racing a figure 8, and my buddy Harry spun out in front of me, and do I have a picture of Harry's car here? No, I don't. Not here. Oh yeah, that's Harry's car right there. Harry spun out in front of me, and I thought I could get underneath him before he came down too far, and I was wrong, and his bumper just clipped the rear of my car, and I thought for sure he got my tire, and I was gonna be out of the race. But the tire held up, and it turned out all he did is just rip that thing, and it was just hanging off the back of my car when I got done. I ended up winning the race, and so, you know, I got to do my donuts and celebrate. And then when I got home, I ripped that off the car, and it's been one of my favorite trophies ever since.
I'm assuming from the 42, that's the car you're talking about.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Right. I'm 42. Okay. That's the black one there. That's this one here. That's my number. Yeah, there you can see the number. It was 42 in aluminum diamond plate. It is the way I did it. This is a that's my little Olds Cutlass. That was good times. That was a dream lived. Oh yeah, this is 400 pounds of clay. So I don't buy liquid clay. I get the clay powder, and then there's about 6 chemicals that get added to it that create slip. Slip's an interesting thing. You know, slip is something that has to flow like water, but you can't have that much water in it, and so you need deflocculants. It's a chemistry that has to take place so that it will flow like water. They'll have the viscosity like water without the water. So I think what you would know is a hard block of clay is typically about 20% water content, and I don't think we're at more than 30% when we finish mixing the slip. It's remarkably close to hard clay, and yet it flows like water. But that's because deflocculant chemistry. And there's a Van Tiki video you can all watch and learn all about that. But there's a lot of details that have to be. That's why I have a glaze book, and I have a kiln book, and a slip book, and a number of different books, because there's a lot of details you have to remember, and if you're not documenting it, you're probably gonna slip at some point. These are the actual. No, they're kind of stuck in there. These are the molds for the Tiki mug. So this is my spray booth, my little miniature spray booth. And at first I thought, I've seen what Van Tiki has. This is going to be fully inadequate. But no, in fact, it turned out to be great. It works extremely well, like much better than I expected it to work. And so I'm pleased with it. I vented it outside so that I don't have to breathe all that stuff. And even though I've only done that one mug so far, and those are the glazes for that, there you can see I've done testing with, something like 60 different glazes or so. Because, again, I needed to make sure I was getting myself prepared along the way, not just for the project I was doing, but for the projects I will be doing.
The vision board in Chad's workshop tells you everything you need to know about the project he's working on now. It's the mug for the big tiki woo-woo, and Rum-Soaked Radio got a sneak peek.
Peacock chairs are very tiki. We all picture Don the Beachcomber sitting in one, and it's a very great place to get your picture taken. He's got this image of Son of Woo sitting in a peacock chair. So that image is what the mug will be. It's not even close. I've only just finished the armature and started to put clay on the armature. This is the armature for the little guy, for the Son of Woo Woo, that will be holding a trident. I don't know if I'm using these pieces of art. These are just some quick sketches, but here's the woo-woo being birthed from the egg, and here's the original sea god, and some deets about the woo-woo. So those are some of the ideas that are going to get worked into telling the story around the sides of the mug.
When Chad isn't downstairs making a tiki mug, he might be upstairs in his tiki hut enjoying one of his homemade delicious tiki drinks. Is it a kitchen? Is it a living room? What is this exactly?
Yeah, who knows, right? Well, so this is a temporary placeholder for what will be our tiki bar. You're the first one to see it. All of you are the first ones to see it, because we're collecting stuff to create our tiki bar, and so as we bring things in, we need to put them places. And then also I'm going to be vending at the Woo Woo, so I've built myself this little hut that will make me feel like I'm in a tiki bar while we're out there selling tiki mugs. Besides, I also feel like if you're going to come up and buy a tiki mug, you should be buying it at a tiki bar. And so I've done my best to make something that is, well, it's engraved with lots of tiki stuff everywhere, and it has that tiki vibe, but it's also light enough that I can break it down and set it up quickly in a booth situation. So that's what this is, and I figured, well, I could put it away after I built it, or it actually takes up less space to just leave it assembled and stick it against the wall, and then I get to sit underneath it and sip Mai Tais under my little thatch roof and fishing nets. You can't even imagine by looking at this what it's going to look like, but it gives me a chance to, well, I can hang my little wall sconce there, which will be a product in the future. And it's a place for me to be able to sit by some of my cherished pieces, like this Temple Guardian from Elvis, which is a dear favorite of mine.
What is that prized piece right there?
Oh, so this is a cherished piece I just recently picked up from Pop's Fine Arts. This is my friend Lad carved this piece. What is special about this for me? I mean, first of all, you just look at it, it's a special looking tiki. It's gorgeous. The depth of the carving here is just phenomenal. I just love it. It's got so much personality, character, but also this was a log that he was carving at the Tapu Tiki fundraiser party. And he had just begun, he hadn't done much. I think he had probably begun prior, but he hadn't gone very far. And I watched him get started on this. And that's the point at which I said to him, I would really love to own this when you finish it. And I didn't know how that was going to work out. Well, it turns out Lad ended up purchasing my first mug at the auction. And that was a very touching thing to me. And then when he finished this, he let me know that it was done, and now it is in my possession here in my home, and it is an incredibly cherished piece here. We adore it, and we feel like this brings a spirit here that will keep our home tiki safe, and it's a treasured piece.
What a fun day at Chad's house. He showed me some of the mugs he's working on. He talked about his racing career, his knives. He talked about that very first mug he ever made. And there's a very special bottle of rum tied to that mug that Chad had to show me upstairs.
That's when I just finished the sculpture for that bottle. And I told myself, because this had so much to do with what I was doing, I was going to wait until I actually sold my first mug to drink this. And then it sold at Tapu Tiki, and I didn't drink it that night because we had drinks at the party, thanks to Josh's bartending skills, wonderful bartending skills. And then I told myself, okay, when I sell all my mugs, I'll drink this. And well, right about the time I sold the last mug was the first time we talked about getting together for a meeting, and I thought, well, I'll just wait until Scott comes over, and I'll have that drink with Scott. And then things come up in the schedule, and this has been moved down a little bit, but I've kept hanging on to it because I decided, well, I got to drink it at some point in celebration of completing this whole mug process, and to have that, share that with Scott is a perfect way to go. So I hope you will indulge me here and share a sip of rum.
Yes.
Woo-hoo! Well, why don't you pick a sipper that's calling your name, whatever color you think it works best for you.
Let's see.
And we'll start there.
I'm going to go with that one.
I love that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that one's a lot of fun.
And what is it that we're drinking here?
Okay, so well, this is Plantation XO.
Okay.
It still says Plantation, not Plantaray. As you can see, I've had this one a little while. Right? I think the new one says Plantaray.
Yeah.
I'm a rum snob. I'll admit it, and because I have a lot, and I tend to buy more sipping, like high-end sipping rums than I do mixer. Most of what you see on the shelf here is higher-end sipping rums. And even though this is not a particularly expensive rum, I find this to be an extremely nice rum that you could sip anytime. You could sip it straight, make an old-fashioned out of it, and you can mix it. Because it's a Barbados rum, Bajan rums are just very versatile. You can do so much with them, but it's smooth, it's a little bit sweet, and it's just a wonderful, easy sipping rum to drink. So
You need to pick your
we need to finish this one off. Yeah. All right. I'm going with Muddy Water. Don't know how much we have in here. Let's see. No. You know what? Let's just...
That's it.
Done. For you, sir.
Thank you. Chad, thank you very much for inviting me over. This has been spectacular. I love your work. You're a guy with a wonderful vibe. I wish nothing but success for your artistry, and I mean, I don't see how it could go any other way. So,
thank you,
cheers
Scott.
to you.
Thank you, and I love you. You have a personality that is exactly the reason why I love to go to Tiki. You're happy and cheerful, and you spread good vibes. You do wonderful charity work for people, and I just love that about you. I learn about a whole bunch of stuff I want to go see because of the advertising you do for it. And in fact, that's why I ended up at House of Bamboo for its opening, because of what you did. And so it's an honor and a privilege for me to have you here in my home, wanting to talk to me of all people. I feel it's almost a little surreal for me. And so thank you for being here.
Let me clarify one thing. Advertising implies payment.
Oh, no,
Nothing
yes,
I do, I get paid for. I do this
Yes.
because I love it.
Promoting-
I understand what you're saying.
Promoting awesome Tiki events, though, is something you do exceptionally well. And yes, I know it's a passion for you, and I can see it and feel it, and I think everybody else that watches you does.
Now, if there are advertisers that want to come aboard, absolutely.
There you
All right,
go.
here we
All
go.
right. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. A little bit cinnamony.
That is a good rum. Boy.
tasty rum, right?
Very cinnamony, yeah.
Yeah, very easy.
Very nice.
Well, goodbye, old friend. But
That's terrific.
hello, new friend.
There you go.
So now for the next project.